Today we're going to be reviewing the Declaration of Independence and Articles of Confederation. This was right at the time that the nation was just beginning. Even though we had colonies until that point, this is where we're kind of taken over. So we're going to start with the Declaration of Independence. Can anybody tell me what prompted, or do you remember what prompted the writing of the Declaration of Independence? Well, if you remember these few points, there was no representation. In other words, they were given no representation in Parliament where decisions were made that would affect them. They were having to house the soldiers that were sent over from England. And there was just a lot of unrest and unhappiness at the way things were going. So, who was the major author? Thomas Jefferson. So there were four major things that came out of this document. Do you remember what they were from yesterday? It listed grievances. This is just a list of complaints. They were unhappy about the way things were going. It declared the colonies' independence from England. It affirmed or declared certain unalienable rights, and if you remember, this is life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Unalienable, if you remember, means that you are just given them because you're born. And it also establishes the idea that all people are equal under the law. Now, if you think about it, at this point, when this document was written, was it all people? No, it was basically white males. However, as time wore on, it basically came to be known that all people were equal under the law. Another major thing that came out of this was it basically said that governments are created to protect the rights of the people, not to rule over the people and tell them what to do. So at this point, we kind of had a nation, but we didn't really have anything running that nation because up until this point, even though they were allowed to have a government, that government was actually under power of the king. So at this point, they needed something more. So let's watch this video. It's called The Articles of Confederation in 1 minute.
Tundra can tackle just about any project your family has.
So it's 1777 and the 13 colonies are busy fighting for their independence. Sounds good, but there's a problem. There are 13 separate colonies fighting for independence. The idea of a United States has not been invented yet, and 10 of the colonies have ratified their own constitutions. It was for this reason that the Second Continental Congress met and ratified the Articles of Confederation, a national system of government. The government they created was purposely weak in favor of state and individual rights. Fears of creating another king led these delegates to give the federal government the power to declare war, conduct international trade, and not much else. To even pass a law required a supermajority of states to approve. A unique success was how it handled the settlement of the West. It divided the land into a grid. The land was to be sold and the proceeds used to pay off the national debt, except for some which would be sold for the benefit of public education. In addition, the government took the bold step and said that this land could someday become a state, and a real one too, not just some second-class territory. The government's fatal flaw, however, was that it didn't have the power to tax. Without this critical function, the Articles of Confederation government was doomed from the start.
So, as the video just told us, this document basically set up the first government of the United States. And understand that this first form of government was set up during the Revolutionary War. So at this point, we weren't truly a full nation yet. So we were yet to be a nation. However, we needed something to run the government so that we could be successful in the Revolutionary War. This document, however, did create a weak national government. Does anybody know why or want to guess why it was a weak national government? Well, all power was given to the states, and the national government had no power to tax or enforce laws. So why? because of the past problems with the king. They wanted to distance themselves from having one single ruler, one national government. So they gave all the power to the states. But the system did not work. So what happened? They met to revise the document. Think about it, guys. Do we have the Articles of Confederation today? Is that our government today? No. So during this session, a whole new document was drafted. Do you know what that document was called? The Constitution. And we will begin the Constitution in the coming days. Any questions?